Well, hello, that's me again. Today is December 12th, 2024. It's Thursday, and what you see in the beginning is a snippet, actually, 20-second cut out of the otherwise 2-minute long almost video made by Russian soldiers. Russians, I assume they were special forces, SSOs, and I just put the music over it by my friend, wonderful friend Anton Ovcharenko. But reality is the amount of profanity you can hear from the Russian guys is insane. I mean, they just literally, there's not a single normal word, and that's how they describe the Syrian troops. The people who just absolutely drop their weapons, and you know what, that's what they are, And let me put it this way. As I already stated, for people who do the debit credit in geopolitics, yeah, they better not get into geopolitics at all, because this is not how geopolitics works and how real politics works in the real world. But they still continue to describe, or discuss who won, who lost. As I state it all the time, those processes, they take longer time than 1-2 days. And fact is, considering the longevity of the human life, which is not very long, sometimes the effects manifest themselves down the road, and sometimes they are profound. And I just want to remind you that what happened in Afghanistan, which United States Army was supposedly winning non-stop, since the invasion of Afghanistan, even before 9/11, actually. And so let's not rush to the conclusions, but I understand, for example, when George, and I clearly hear him, and I in fact support his statement when he stated that the Arab world is dead to me. And yeah, I have a number of the Arab friends, wonderful people, educated, highly cultured, and very dedicated friends. But they are primarily exceptions from what is the state of the modern Arab world. And as George today stated, you can go and listen to his wonderful, basically, speeches and statements. He talks about there are two types of them, of the Arabs nowadays, and one of them are slaves, and the other, just as what is happening in Syria. And I already saw, if anybody didn't see it yet, I would suggest you to see what the American, Israeli, and Turkish supported people do. For example, executing children. Yeah, you can see it. That's what it is. They just execute the family and in front of children, and then execute children. That's the type of the democracy and freedom and liberty those people bring to the table. But then again, in the end, you have to not blame blame. Let's not beat around the bush here. You can blame the Syrian Arab army, which surrendered like the last cowards, and that's what they are. Sadly, in the Arab world, it is all about gotcha, and when you scratch the Arab general, you will find the price tag. They sell you all the time. Now, this is in no way, reflects on all of them, but this is the, predominant culture. And when you look at, obviously, at how George reacts to this, it's understandable. Because Palestinians, whose life and whose support was totally, dependent on the not Sunni Arabs, but on the Shiite Iran and Hezbollah and Syria, they lost the last lifeline. Yet they celebrated the, overthrow of Assad regime. Well, what can I say? Now they are done. And yeah, well, people who say that it's not over, it's over for them. They will be finally ethnically cleansed from the Gaza, and that will be it. So, and Egypt, which of course, as any Arab nation, fits this mold. And this modus operandi of the Arabs is this: they are ready to fight Israel to the last Palestinian, and this is exactly what had happened. So let's be done with this, and I can tell you one thing, that Russians operate pretty much normally in Syria, or whatever will be left of it, which I think so it's going to be fractured eventually. So Israel obviously is taking the only natural step they could, they took the Golan Heights and they will never surrender them anymore. And they will bomb the rest of whatever abandoned equipment, including high-tech equipment, such as the air defense complexes of the what used to be Syrian Arab army. Well, yeah, these new people from Syria, they don't need that. Albeit, so how to... it's just, oh my God. We have these guys. Turkey. So Israel threatening peace in Syria, Turkey. Well, no, Israel obviously is no more culpable in what is happening than Turkey itself. And Israel forces have seized Syrian territory and conducted massive air raids following the fall of Assad's government. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has accused Israel of undermining the prospect of peace in Syria. There will be no peace in Syria. He also called on all parties in the war-torn nation to ensure ethnic and religious cohesion. Yeah, right. Good luck with that. So Ankara supports some of the Syrian opposition factions that ousted Assad over the weekend. Yeah, I mean, those factions numbered altogether of 30,000 militants, and that was it. I mean, Syrian army just collapsed and being outnumbering them by a significant factor, but yeah, that's what they are. So, let's not dwell on this. We will see where it is all going. And as I already stated, I'm sick and tired listening those, oh, who won, who lost. Let me tell you, the instability will ensue and Arabs will just, bear the brunt of that. This is what they do. So, as per now, getting to ATACMS. The moment Mr. Zelensky returned from Paris, where Mr. Trump told him to shove it, well, guess what? We suddenly they launched 6 ATACMS missiles at the Taganrog, a port city, also the city where the one military airstrip is located, and of course famous Beriev Bureau, which produces those wonderful amphibious Bear-200 flying boats, and of course the A-50 and A-100 Beriev aircraft. Nothing was damaged really. Some people received slight minor injuries, but well, what can I say? You can already pretty much make your own conclusions why it has been done. And Mr. Trump, after that, comes out and says, well, there you go, that's what he says. Trump blasts Biden over long-range missile strike into Russia. US President-elect Donald Trump has criticized Ukraine's strikes deep into Russia using Western-supplied weapons, saying that they only escalate the conflict between Kyiv and Moscow. I disagree very vehemently with sending missiles hundreds of miles into Russia. Why are we doing this? He asked rhetorically. We know why they are doing this. Biden administration is on the last legs. The only these people, Jake Sullivan's, Blinken's, all those people can produce is chaos, genocide, murder on the industrial scale. Precisely because they are just basically pampered good old boys. None of them have any real life experiences, let alone professional experiences related to what they are doing, because they are war criminals essentially. So they are doing everything possible trying to elicit some kind of the rational response from Russia, which Russians already stated. We're going to respond on the time and place of our choosing. And if anybody goes and continues to say, oh, there will be a Reshnik which we'll send, it could be a Reshnik, who knows, could be something else. Russians have plenty of hypersonic weapons and other weapons you cannot stop. And that could range from final killing off pretty much whatever is remaining of the Ukrainian or Kiev regime electric generating structures to who knows what. As I already stated on a number of occasions, you can go back and listen to my previous videos. I mean, the hunt for the high NATO high top brass NATO people is really on in Ukraine. Russians have no, actually, their hands are untied, and they will be hunting those, high-level officers from NATO countries, United States, France, and other chihuahuas, and so this is just one of the ways to respond, but we will see. There will be a response, and who knows where it will all bring us, but it is clear that it's everybody who has any brains left in the United States understand this, but everybody people who really follow the actual professionals, not some BS, basically Ukrainian propaganda spreaders such as Mr. Rybari or others with the shadow assets of the Ukrainians. So they follow this and they know that the question is, what will the inauguration of Mr. Trump on January 20th will be in terms of Ukraine, where NATO already have sustained a defeat. I don't know, the front is collapsing, and let's go to the front lines and see for ourselves why it is collapsing. Remarkably, this is the indication of its collapse because, as you can see yourself, consistently for the last week, the number of the killed and wounded is dipping below the 2,000 mark. It's still very significant number. It's 1,545 today, and the number of tanks and all other types of the equipment are being obliterated, annihilated in along the line of combat contact in industrial quantities. This is from the December 12th, from today, as you can see yourself. And one of the reasons for that is that for example, if you look attentively right now at this scheme, and this is on Uspenovka. Uspenovka is being liberated, actually it is liberated now, and as you can see yourself, there is a little teeny-weeny wonderful pocket there also where you have the bunch of armed forces of Ukraine captured there. And then if you go to Kurakhova, the latest news since yesterday, if before the armed forces of Ukraine were running away in small groups, there is now major withdrawal from Kurakhova because they will abandon it. And, Russians say, yeah, good luck, and they can leave it only through one road, as you can see yourself, and yeah, this road is fully fire controlled by Russians, so in this case, this so-called withdrawal will be, the road of death, basically. So, but yeah, you can see yourself the constant advancements of Russian troops, and that's the whole point, as I already stated many times, and not only me, many people stated, there is basically last line of defense there. After that, there are all those steps, there are all those open fields. You cannot mount any serious defense. You cannot actually develop or build any kind of the stronghold, and that's it. Once you begin to roll back, and nothing can stop you, especially with Russians having absolute air dominance in the areas of their active combat activity, and evidently they are basically tearing the rest of the reserves, if you wish, and throwing them into this meat grinder, which brings us to this which is the evil. I mean, those people in Washington right now, many of them are evil. They're sociopaths. They are not normal people. Mentally, these are dangerous people, and they're cowards primarily, and they probably understand, especially with Kash Patel becoming the which is being nominated for the FBI director, and he already is on the record. He stated that, I'm going to investigate Mr. Zelensky and what is related to him. And guess what? What is related to Mr. Zelensky, who is a war criminal and criminal against humanity, is of course Mr. Blinken, Mr. Sullivan, obviously Biden's clan, and all those people. So yeah, there are bad times coming, and so what can I say? They want, obviously the reason for all that is to whatever it takes, short of the nuclear weapons use and starting probably some kind of the nuclear war, is of course to mobilize whatever is left of the Ukrainian nation, and this is between 18 and 25-year-olds. The pool of those 18 through 25-year-olds in Ukraine today is around 300,000. Out of them, you can probably really mobilize 150,000. They will be killed immediately, you understand. They are children, literally and in the figurative sense, because they are not real soldiers. They will be facing the really, I mean, the wolves, I mean, these people who fight on Russian side. Those are professionals of the highest order. They will just chew them up and spit them out. Not to speak, you know, of the obvious fact that, or rather possibility that they may not even see any combat at all. They will be just simply destroyed on the, you know, during the transition marches and not even getting to the line of the combat contact. And so, well, yeah, it's standoff weapons, long range fires, you know, aviation and things like that. And yeah, this people are ready to fight to the last Ukrainian. I'm talking about, as I already stated, Mr. Blinken, Mr. Sullivan, all those sociopaths who basically also not only killed Ukraine, which they did, but they also killed actually United States. United States is a horrendous shape, and well, that will require separate elaboration. And yeah, I don't know if Mr. Trump can help this, but it is, you know, whatever you want. So. And now, after what this happens and all this psychological warfare, because this is the only warfare they can do, it's producing their copious amounts of BS, is they still try to pretend that there will be some kind of the peacekeepers, 40,000. So Mr. Macron flew to Poland to talk to Poland. Unlike France, has actual army. It's not the best army, but it's actual army. But Poles already, before Macron even landed in Warsaw, they told him that just go screw yourself. We're not sending any troops. You know, they want to put troops on the in the Western Ukraine. As already stated by Kremlin many times, and again, you have to understand what they do now is produce this, you know, soap opera, psychological thing that, oh yeah, we are unified, we're, you know, coming together as the West, we're gonna show you those damn Ruskies. Macron is nobody, he's a boy. So is France. Remove France minuscule nuclear deterrent, and is a second tempo nation which still produces, you know, Airbus and some engines, and that's it. Renault, that's pretty much it. And when you look at them, so they are chihuahuas. Militarily, they are a joke. So they want to, you know, collect this, that's Macron's idea, obviously, to collect this bunch of the losers, you know, from Bundeswehr, whatever that is now, and from Dutch troops, and put 40,000 those into Western Ukraine. Well, the question is not the judicial, which of course the whole useless, however, but at least United Nations may need to be involved. It's what's stated by Russians. They will be killed really fast. And I mean, they will not see anything what is going to be hitting them, but they will be annihilated, and that will be it. So all of that is just plain simple bluff. I mean, it's a BS, because that's the only thing which combined West can do. It's the same what United States Army today can do. Mostly fight some kind of the third world crap hole with new militaries which are similar to the Syrian Arab army, which wanted, and as its all generals rewarded themselves with wonderful awards and stars on their epaulets and all kinds of privileges, they've been, with the exception of the Tiger Force, Tiger Brigade, well, basically crawling behind Russians and Iranians who fought the war for them. They expected Russians and Iranians to fight it for them again. No. Doesn't work like this. This is not the time of the times of the Soviet Union, when Soviet Union would actually underwrite pretty much anybody who would say, oh, we want socialism and things like that. No, 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 no. Russia doesn't want freeloaders, and as has been stated many times, Russia has a much larger fish to fry, and that's what many people do not understand. And if you take a look, suddenly we have this guy. This guy is Mr. Bernandez. He is a former general, and this is from ABC in Spain. This is machine translation, and he is talking about that. Obviously, this narrative is all crap, you know, about Europeans and NATO. The existential narrative for Brussels seems more like a self-serving narrative than a contrasting reality. And yeah, it's what they do. So because it's behind the paywall, and I'm not gonna do it, you know, in terms of paywall all subscribing, here it is. This is Syrian News, which is talking about, it's basically retelling this article by Mr. whatever he, Bernandez, General Bernandez. Out of suggestion, in the West they made an unexpected statement about special military operation. And he is correct, absolutely. This is what I've been talking about for, 1,000 days. It's all about, just Wizard of Oz, half and puff, smoke and mirrors. They are militarily, including the United States, NATO is, it's impotent and it's incompetent. And so he says, Bernandez, according to the West, the world of Ukraine must come, the peace on Ukraine must come with the victory of Ukraine and the defeat of Russia. This opinion seems unrealistic to me. A military defeat of Russia after 1,000 days of hostilities is not possible, the general said. Well, it is not possible because also, as already I'm just repeating this ad nauseam, is the fact that they wanted to, just throw at Russia at the war of attrition. The problem is, the United States doesn't know what a real war of attrition is. Because it never fought one, unlike it was in Vietnam, and it left a horrendous impression on the psyche of the American officers and obviously of politicians. And when people were talking about the United States beating the crap out of the Saddam's backward and semi-literate army in 1991, they said, oh, we overcame the basically Vietnam syndrome. No, it didn't happen. And there is a deeply hidden, but it's there and it surfaces periodically, complex of inferiority, because the United States needs to realize itself as continental nation, which it is not. You realize yourself as continental nation and you form yourself as continental nation only through the warfare of scale. Beating some Arab army, and we already spoke about that, those people do not know how to shoot straight. So is not it. You have to fight between yourself and fighting the major enemies. No, not the Wehrmacht of 1944. You need to fight the Wehrmacht of 1941 or 1940. Then you would know the difference. But, well, that's the whole other story. And because of that, their understanding of the attrition is that, well, they just project themselves on that. And as I already stated many times, and again, I probably will write the 5th book, they absolutely have no clue about Russia. I know this for sure now, and this is one of the reasons, for example, that they mum on the development of the hypersonic weapons and in Russia, because you cannot go out and say, yeah, we suck in this respect, we don't have even anything comparable. Well, because it is the complex of inferiority. And when I say that Russia won the arms race with the United States, I'm not being facetious. I mean it, and by a large margin. So now we have this event, and this is good event, and this is that 5 nuclear nations, obviously, and of course, United States, Russia, China, France, and great UK, they held a meeting. Representatives of 5 nuclear states was held in Dubai, and it was the consultation, which is good, of nuclear fight. The key topic of the meeting, as follows from the message of Chinese Foreign Ministry, which was chairing that event, was nuclear doctrines. And Beijing believed that in the current circumstances, discussing the issue would allow the nuclear powers to avoid misunderstanding and miscalculations. Other capitals seem to have embraced this approach, which has become particularly relevant in connection with Russia's recent promulgation on updated nuclear doctrine. And yes, updated nuclear doctrine by Russia was, of course, the development of a couple more scenarios when you can use nuclear weapons, but most of those nuclear weapons and use of nuclear weapons in accordance to doctrine still is based around the basically existential threat to Russian state or its allies. So that was pretty much, clarification and update of the doctrine. The threshold wasn't really lowered. And after demonstration of Attrition, and Mr. Putin has already stated last video, and I can quote it again. He said, at this stage, we do not really need any kind of work on nuclear doctrine. We just need, which already happens, it is in serial production, more Oreshniks, and we can win, well, essentially win any kind of war without use of the nuclear weapons. And this is the problem, for example, for Washington and the White House and State Department, Pentagon, because the idea was this BS for the last 1,000 days about somehow Russia is weak and it needs to use the nuclear tactical nukes. I mean, yeah, they do not teach them well in Ivy League. They are primarily shysters who do not even understand anything. They won't be able to run as, 7-Eleven without bankrupting it within the couple of weeks. But yet here they are. They basically, well, is the United States flying now off the cliff, or are we still on the kind of edge looking into abyss? It is a bizarre, basically, state of the United States today, and hopefully we're not flying. Hopefully we can stop at least, before just going off. I don't know. We'll see. A lot will depend on Mr. Trump and what he will do in the first, 100 days of his activity. So, and especially in terms of economics, because, well, as again, I just can only repeat it, the main pillar on which the dollar system rested was the mythology, the blood of America's military power. It is gone completely demolished, to the point that, yeah, sure, they can go on and on, and again, as already stated, huff and puff and, swing their hands in the air and, and just probably celebrate for a couple of weeks more on the Syria collapse, but Russians saw it coming, evidently. That is why there was not much they could do. Probably there was a deal that in the end Russia will take Assad's family, and that will be it. So yeah, Syrians wanted it, let them enjoy it. So, and nothing we can do about it. We have to be very realistic. As per Oreshnik, so the impression is so huge that now this Newsweek, it's Nyakon Central. US warns Russia may deploy new lethal missile in Ukraine in coming days. This was the quote from Mrs. Singh, who is the spokesperson, woman for Pentagon, and that's Newsweek immediately tries to create this, anticipation and tension. Well, they need to sell their, the rag also. So we'll see. Yeah, the Russia will respond, but again, Russians understand what Biden administration is trying to do. If anybody thinks that they are idiots in general stuff in Russia, well, I have a bridge to sell you. They are much more sophisticated than anybody in Pentagon, CIA, State Department, and the White House combined. I cannot even, I cannot even describe the discrepancy, if you wish, or the abyss which separates those people. It's completely different level of culture, and of course it is completely different level of understanding of the modern war. And modern war has been reduced, or if you read my, especially first two books, I constantly state there that the only thing which matters in our world in the 21st century, it is first having a massively efficient and state-of-the-art nuclear deterrent, which Russia has, and of course the ability to defeat any combination of forces by conventional means only. Russia hasn't. I already explained to you the single missile can wipe out the pretty much, missile with the MIRVs, multiple in the re-entry vehicles, it can wipe out essentially this something the size of US division. So there you go. And we are at this, it's not both precipice, but also who knows what comes next after that. And Russians, as you saw yourself, for the last 10 years, were pressing down the possibility of the pressing down, in a sense that trying not to allow it to develop and escalate up to the nuclear threshold. It was always about conventional means. And everything that was what West has done in this last 10 years was lying, because they have nothing more than being liars. And in conclusion, just to kind of for the sake of the what they call military porn, Russians demonstrated this Su-57 with the new, some kind of the new type of the nozzles, I mean, for the new generation engine. So yeah, it gives Su-57 some kind of the bizarre capabilities, but you know, what do we know? And in complete conclusion, so to speak, here's this crazy Estonian, whatever her name, Mrs. Callas. She talks about that nothing will be left of frozen Russia funds. She says the European Union top diplomat Kaja Kallas has expressed doubts that Russia will ever recover sovereign assets that were frozen by Brussels under Ukraine-related sanctions. Well, Europeans are thieves, they are liars, their people have no honor and integrity. So that is why I always say Europe can go to hell, and if it's tomorrow is embroiled, which is a probability actually, into some kind of the internal strife, let them. Nobody cares about them. In an interview with Politico on Tuesday, the EU new foreign policy chief admitted that Russia legally has a legitimate claim. Yeah, it's Russia's money. So it's not a legitimate claim. But again, as already stated, NATO are thieves. They only know how to beat the crap out of the kids in the sandbox and pretty much steal and lie and cheat, and that's what they do. This is the nature of, well, combined West today. Mr. Putin will be having the direct line with Russia very soon. It's famous long hours, communications of Putin with his people, and already in news, Russia is already using the Western assets to compensate for that. Believe me, the West will be squealing when Mr. Putin will announce it officially. I have no, actually, for Europeans, I have no, how to say it, sympathy in this respect. So, and this is what I wanted to tell you today, guys. And as always, in the end, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee and two. And that will be it for today, guys. Have a nice rest of the week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.